This video shows how to display using shapes the hierarchical view obtained from data stored in tabular data. I use for this example the output of sp_who2 stored procedure, but you can imagine that result set being retrieved from a repository database containing information about your servers. For example, we could create something that will return information about data stores, ESC hosts, servers in each environment, and so on by querying metadata stored by VMware in some SQL Server database. Or maybe the result come from an Excel file in which we manually entered information in a way in which we will be able to display it hierarchical. Once we have the data, we can start checking columns for which we want to create the hierarchy, and once is created, we can choose to display it as shapes too. I am sure you have seen the difference in speed while generating the hierarchical view as text blocks and the view as shapes, and this is happening because to render on-screen text boxes is more intensive than plain text blocks. The amount of connectors created to display the hierarchical view lead to the implementation of selecting shapes on canvas of specific type in order to speed the process of changing those shapes' properties. Also, the fact that we can add hierarchical view side by side with others lead to the implementation of that gray rectangle, which allows to select all the shapes which falls under its area. What is next, and I am sure you noticed it in the video, is to add the option to set the thickness of the shape borders. When I am generating the shapes, I set the thickness of the connectors to 1, but when I am loading them from disk, it's set by default to 3. It is set by default to 3 because with a thickness of 1, it is very hard to select a connector via mouse. If you check other professional tools, they have logic which checks a specific area around the mouse pointer, and if anything is overlapping that area will change the mouse icon in order to let the user know that if he left-click then that object will be selected. I believe with ChatGPT that behavior can be obtained for sure, but the problem is that I need to make tests over tests to see if it will affect the current code. All of my tests are manual, and they are time-consuming and boring, but not boring enough to write code that will perform those tests.